Hey, what's up, y'all? Today I'm going to be breaking down how I make glow style beats for the likes of KanKan and Summers. I'll show y'all the preview beat before we get started, so I'll play that right now.
Kale, this shit is trash.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to go over is the melody, and all of these sounds are actually sound designed by me while I was making this beat, just kind of feeling out, and I'll show you my process with sound designing for some of these. So this first sound here we have is this plucky sort of deal. And what you want to do in Serum or whatever you're sound designing in is just create movement in your sound. So what I did for that is I had this LFO going and it was changing the pitch of it, as well as the envelope being connected to various filters and just moving around the sound and making it more dynamic and interesting. Next up, I had this little walk down pluck. And how I designed this one was I used just a basic triangle wave, and then I had this LFO automate the quantize filter to slowly distort it as it went down the walk down. Once again, just adding more movement to the sound. Next, I had this pretty basic lead. I didn't do much with this one. I just changed the detune a little bit. Next was this little accent sound. It was pretty simple. It's just a pluck, and then this is something I do often is I'll have an LFO link to the grand or the master tune, sorry, and that will create a kind of record scratch effect. So I'll play that right now. So y'all see how it pitches down a little bit. I think it's a cool effect. Then last but not least for the melody, I used this synth hacker preset wavetable, and I used that and created a just kind of underpad. You can't really hear it, it's more felt, if that makes sense. And once again, I used that pitch automation technique that I showed y'all, but instead, well, I have it pitch all the way down. It's like a record scratch at the end, but then in this little part, I just have it detuned a little bit just to add a little more color to it. And yeah, that's all for the melodies. Onto the drums. All of these drums are from my up and coming kit. I'll show you right here. The Syrup Sipper drum kit. A whole bunch of 808s, whole bunch of claps. I'm not quite finished it yet, but everything is sound designed completely from scratch. And I'll play the drums isolated. Yeah, so starting off with the hi-hat, I really like these clicky hi-hats that you hear in a lot of plug beats, so I made this hi-hat. And it's playing a fairly simple pattern with little bits of rolls there. Seeing as the melody is so complicated, you don't want to overcomplicate your drums. And then for two perks, I just have this Wi-Fi snare playing, as well as this block perk. And those just add a little bit of extra bounce. You got your snare on your typical places, and then lastly is this 808. I like adding some buzzy sort of 808, so I created this 808 called the Tasia 808. And remember to always follow the root notes with that one. And then, oh, I didn't go over mixing. As for mixing, it's pretty simple. Just EQ on a lot of these, and then compressor on as for the melody. And then for the drums, there's not much mixing because there's not really much necessary. For the Tasia 808, I ended up slamming it into this soft clipper just to give it a little bit more distortion, but it didn't need much. And then, yeah, that's everything for drums, and then we'll get on to arrangement. So the arrangement is fairly simple. You got this is your hook, this is your verse, then it just repeats over and over again. I don't really tend to see bridge sections in these kind of beats, so I chose not to do that. And how I made my hook different than my verse was I took out the high plucky part of this main sound. So instead of this, I had this. And besides that, there's not much, just little cuts here and there just to make it more interesting. Occasionally I change up the 808 slightly, but you don't want to do too much. And then for this little intro part, I totally stole this sauce from Retta. Like, he makes amazing beats. But all I do for this is I render out one bar and then I repeat it and kind of just feel out a pattern to slowly go into it. It doesn't have to be on beat at all. It kind of sounds like if you accidentally click a song on Spotify over and over again. And I think it sounds sick. And then this Kale Nathan Beats Riser is also going to be in my Syrup Sipper drum kit, dropping soon. Yeah, and that's pretty much everything. I'll play y'all the whole beat now. Appreciate you watching.